Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey are under federal investigation. CBS News sources say the DOJ is looking at the two politicians as part of a conspiracy to impede federal immigration agents. WCCO's Connor White dug into the allegations and what this means for Minnesota.
With around 3,000 federal agents now in Minnesota, ICE are on camera detaining American citizens. There's daily clashes between protesters and agents. And ICE have shot two people, killing 37-year-old Renee Good in South Minneapolis, drawing the ire of Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey.
If you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record.
Both Walz and Frey encouraging peaceful protests.
I've seen conduct from ICE that is disgusting and is intolerable.
Now, based on comments like this, sources tell WCCO the Justice Department is investigating Walz and Frey, alleging they are part of a conspiracy to impede federal immigration agents. A major escalation as the Trump administration accuses local officials of putting ICE agents at risk as they flood the streets.
There's no cases on record, let us say, in sort of the modern history of the First Amendment that have taken mere criticism to be equivalent to obstruction of justice.
Political science and First Amendment expert Professor David Schultz says he doesn't believe this investigation will hold much water, saying President Trump is using the DOJ as a political tool.
This seems entirely predictable with the Trump administration wanting to make life miserable for Walz.
Connor White, WCCO News.
Now, to give us more insight into the investigation launched against Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, Minnesota attorney Joe Tamburino joins us now. What is your take on all this?
Well, thanks for having me on. My take is that everyone needs to calm down and start talking to each other because, I mean, think of it this way, Reg. If weeks ago, any politician, whether federal, state, or local, no matter how much time they spend in front of a camera filing a lawsuit, do the same amount of time talking to each other, trying to get a compromise, trying to get an agreement, because right now the heat is too hot. Everything needs to calm down.
In a nutshell, what would the DOJ have to prove against Walz and Frey?
Well, the DOJ, what they're doing right now is a stretch. They'd have to show that Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, number one, had an agreement with each other. Number two, to obstruct justice, meaning to get in the way of federal officials from doing their job. And number three, use force, intimidation, or threats. And that's simply not the case here. I mean, I simply don't see that. Now, some of the statements that the governor and the mayor have made, within the last few weeks are unwise. Some of them are, I wouldn't have said, by saying, get out of Minneapolis, using certain words, that it's an invasion, film ICE agents. Yeah, those aren't the greatest things to say, but they're not illegal. You would have to actually make some type of threats or use physical force to stop a federal official. I don't see that.
Basically, how does this happen? What happens next? I mean, they say they're investigating, but what happens next?
Well, they could impanel a grand jury. I mean, the federal government has the power to do that. That means they're going to get a group of people together, 16 to 23 people. 12 have to decide to indict. That means there's enough to charge a crime. And what's going to come to a head is that if they subpoena Governor Walz and Mayor Frey. Now, I would imagine if that happens, the first thing those two gentlemen would do is try to quash the subpoena, to go to court and say, look, it's an illegal subpoena for whatever reason. But if they don't win that, then they would have to go in front of a grand jury. And the only way that you could prevent that is to say that you're going to invoke the Fifth Amendment. You're going to incriminate yourself. So, the next step would be impaneling a grand jury, serving a subpoena on the individuals, and then let's see any motions that would come from that.
Have we seen this before? Has the DOJ gone after lawmakers like the governor, the mayor before in other states?
Well, under this administration, there have been threats. There's no doubt about that. But have I ever seen anything like this before? No. Obstruction charges are quite common, but usually it involves, like say there's a law enforcement official trying to execute a search warrant on a residence or arrest somebody, and another person gets in the way, physically, tries to prevent the officer, threatens them. Sure, that's probable cause that somebody obstructed. You can charge them. But simply by using, again, unwise words, but simply by using those words when they aren't threats, they're not saying anything about violence, they're not physically getting out there, I just don't see how they could be charged.
In your opinion, how does this affect the people of Minnesota?
Well, it keeps the heat up, which we don't want. It would be very nice for even a week to have Minnesota not be in the news. We have been too much in the news, and I wish cooler heads would prevail and that both sides would simply talk to each other, get a compromise.
I've talked to other people that say this is just an overreach by the federal government. What, in your opinion, what do you think?
Yes, it is, because, you have two elected officials that the Department of Justice doesn't like what they've been saying to the public. And agreed, I wouldn't like some of the things they said either, but they're not crimes. There's nothing about what they said that is a threat of violence or a use of any type of physical force to stop federal agents from doing their jobs.
Could this be drawn out for months, possibly years?
Absolutely. Because if a grand jury is impaneled, that could definitely take months. Then you're going to have subpoenas served. Like I said, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey could go to court and say we want to what's called quash the subpoena by, making an argument that it's unreasonable, it's overbroad, it's overreaching, whatever it is. So yes, this could definitely take months.
And once again, lastly, we just need cooler heads to prevail, right?
Absolutely, 100%. I wish that was happening for the last month.
Thank you, Joe Tamburino, live in studio. Thanks for getting up this morning and braving the cold and come in and kind of educate our viewers. We appreciate
No problem.
that.
Thank you.